meal that go out every day. So this means that there's no other place or no other service provided by, I don't know, the municipality or other kind of institution. So yeah, of course, this could be a kind of a controversial point, do we want to do that because we are filling a gap left by the state? And of course, because we are different collectives, there are different ideas. Some people are a bit more pissed about this and be like, yeah, but we are like filling up this gap and shouldn't be like that. But then there's also people like me, and I guess also Renee, and we are like, we don't really care right now because we just want to do this without thinking too much about, do they rely on us? Are they using us? Will they make a statue for us? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it would be great. We would definitely look good, but yeah, we just want to do this, but because like we said in the beginning, it's not something new. Now the numbers are just bigger, and there's people that maybe in the past wouldn't have come to our social dinners or eat cafes, but we have been always working with this kind of structure and following always this guideline of, solidarity and recycling food and volunteer based and, having your network steady and strong. And now we are just bringing it back out, but it's always there. It's not, we didn't create anything new. It's just, yeah, then for who we do this, we do it for the people that come and pick up the food. And also because objectively, let's be honest, it's for us in the teams, all the volunteer involved, it's a good opportunity to, to get out of your house and feel useful, especially for the one that cannot work because maybe you work in the I don't know, music sector, or you work with food and then everything is closed and you are like, okay, this is my social moment. And so, yeah, I don't know. We didn't spend much time discussing about the, conflicts with, the gaps left behind. We just do it.
No, we just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, about this question, we are discussing a lot each other between us. There are also different positions inside of the brigades of Milan, but we think that, our background is from autonomous group, autonomous movement. We every time was in conflict against the municipality, municipal council, and so. But in this case, we feel that there's a big opportunity of verticalize our effort, also because these things start as autonomous action, but we realize that the number of people that really needs help is bigger and bigger. It's became bigger every day, and we realize that the official institution are not able to face the problem. So we decide to experiment this ambiguous, maybe. We know that there are some contradiction to be autonomous and antagonistic against the power of the state and the municipal council. But I want to explain what we are doing by an example. After 1 month of activity, the major asked us to distributing 300,000 DPI. So it's a number that we never can. We produce masks from the first day. We have produced something like 5,000, but we never can reach this number of. And this mask was given to the major by the Chinese community. So it's a present. They haven't buy the mask yet, and they was not able to distributing this mask to people in poor neighborhoods. So they ask us. We take 100,000 of them, and we spread door to door door by door in all the popular neighborhoods. For us, was for one side was a sort of ambiguity, because we go with this with the municipal helps, we do that. For the other side, for us was a big opportunity because we start to speak directly with the people, and we say we are not from the major, we are the comrades, we are the mutual aid group from self-organization, but the it's so bigger what we do. I mean, it's for us in this moment, uh, occupy the space that institution lets empty is a very big deal, and for us it's important to occupy the space. Also because we know that now is the phases of emergency. Now the first aim is to help people, but for us this type of help is very political, and we ask ourselves these questions: how we can politicize primary needs, how we can use this opportunity to reach thousands and thousands of people. We distribute this DPA, this mask, about 20,000 family houses, and we impose the condition to the major. We say we don't divide legal, I mean, official people that living in the houses from squatted house or migrant without ID and so, and we distribute to everybody. We know that the effect of this act is good because people have no mask, no money for buying mask. Here there was a horrible speculation about the price of the mask. They starting from €2, €3 from one chirurgical mask. It's like, and so we say, okay, for one side, we risk to get colonized by the major, by the municipality. From the other side, we have this opportunity to get in touch directly, giving our papers and our text, and also giving our contact, our number, our we built some call center, and we spread this call center during the mask distribution. So people start to call us, and when they call us, we say we are not from the municipal autonomous group, and we are the real help that you can. I mean, we say we are the people that help the people, and people in the popular neighborhoods are very clever on this. They know very well that are totally abandoned by institutions. So they start to call us, and we think that this ambiguity, this contradiction is true. It exists, but we have to stay inside because in this way we have the opportunity to reach a number of people and places in the city that we never will be able to reach in autonomous way.
Yeah, I would say it like you say, it's now time to bring community together because the institutions are all that we are in the same boat or the same shape, and we have the same, we have chance to have what they have. And because of economy took place in our society, and we forgot the community society, bringing people together and to knowing people. It's now Corona who is giving us chance, our civil society organization, to let the governance to know why we are the providers of the economic system. And like you said, they cannot reach us easily because they have a lot of laws who are breaking the society to come together. And I will say that you are doing great job at Milan, at your place. We can say that here in the Netherlands, the facility are more easier than at your place. But we are thinking, yeah, I'm okay. I don't need anybody. But now it's time to bring everybody together and to build a coming nation. And I'm agree with you, is what I can add to what the question says.
One more things, I mean, a lot of our comrades are coming from territorial committees, autonomous committees. We work on house eviction, on unemployment, on we make activity, sports activity with child inside of community, of neighborhoods. But the aim to build community, to rebuild community was an aim for us, a goal. And sometimes we reach this goal, sometimes not, because the rhythm of metropolis is very hard. So it's not every time easy to be present inside of a territory, of a neighborhood. In this occasion, we have the opportunity to have a map of our town and set a local place, a local central of community building. And so we say we have to do it, because doing that, we can increase our action. And when this emergency will end, maybe we can capitalize this action. So we have many more people disposed to help us to build community links.
Like Liverpool are doing with the football time, when they are making, this is what we are doing at Liverpool with football. And those are things who bring community together to knowing who is who. And because of capitalism, I'm always said that, how are we going to share the common sense we are facing now? If one person or two persons destroy our planet, how about the 80% who are willing to march people together and build a nation? All the revolutions, before coming here, I was thinking, is it good to go back to history, to let our children, our generation, knowing that we are just be normal people 60 years now after the Second World War? And another people or continent like China or like America is thinking always, no, I have something to do again to punish humanity. I'm not preaching, but it's what we are talking about. We just helping 10 people, 20 people, but now you are helping thousands of people. That is great. They should come back to you and learn from you.
That's the idea. Ange, I wanted to get your...
You know, it took us 8 years to become, for the community to understand who we are, to trust us, to understand it was our project, and now it's become into a business. And now, you know, people come in, they volunteer, they might have had, you know, substance misuse, they might have mental health, but there's been a pathway in to be able to volunteer, to meet other people, make different social networks, and then get some training, get onto, you know, get some skills that enable them to get further on into employment. Some of them have been able to be housed, and we've supported them into housing and accommodation. So for us, we're already in the community as like, not a beacon, but we're like a resistance. Like, you know, we've had a lot of failed market renewal, you know, we've got a big football club who was wanting to, you know, expand. A couple of times their plans were changed. So, you know, we were in a bit of a, the community that we had been split up by houses being demolished, houses being tinned up for a number of years. So the bakery, for where it started to where it is now, it's took a lot of time, and it's took a lot of patience, and people still sometimes are a bit, you know, what is it about? Our money, the money that we make stays in the business. We have no owner. You know, any money that we make either gets ploughed back into making more jobs or buying equipment for us to be more efficient, to make better working conditions, you know, pay better pay. And we put on activities, you know, we let other community groups use the space. So we have poetry, we have art, we have a meeting space for people to be able to come and use that space to talk about ideas, other business opportunities, other community groups. So for them 8 years, it's, you know, it's took us that time. So at this moment, we're trying to keep the business going, but then we're also doing what we're already been doing in them 8 years, supporting them local initiatives of, you know, food banks, working with Liverpool Homeless Football Club, Fan Support and Food Bank, Alchemist Kitchen, Granby 4 Street, other projects in the city that were, you know, that work. We tend to work well in Liverpool with other community groups, and you know, everyone's been supportive of what we're trying to do in our area, but then, you know, we're trying to support other little initiatives that are going together. And, you know, regards to football, and where we are in the city, you know, we've got 2 big clubs. We've got Liverpool, we've got Everton, and then 2 football teams of the Fan Support and Food Bank. They started, you know, this collection every time anyone went to a match, to bring an item of food or money. And so we've been able to keep that going because they would have, we're just keeping it in people's minds. But then also, if you're still employed, or you're furloughed, you're getting some money, you're still able to help. People are volunteering at some of these projects, filling the bags, doing local drops. Liverpool Football Club will be working with me next week to deliver some of our pies. I feel like it's a two-way street with a lot of the organisations that we work with, because if we haven't, you know, if we can give them anything, whether it's knowledge, whether it's the loans of a van, whether it's time, we've been doing that. We've been building that up for the last number of years. And so at this time, we're still doing what we're doing in our own way. You know, we're not, but we're having to think about, and I'm not like dead business minded, and I'm not like, oh, this is all business, but 21 people are relying on us, and the community is relying on us to still have that bakery. We're fought to save that bakery not being knocked down and not be given to a commercial arm. So, you know, it's really important for myself. I live in the street facing, you know, put a lot of time in over the years. So, you know, we're making fresh bread for people that would be maybe who are getting it from the food banks, but they're getting a good quality loaf instead of a manufactured loaf, you know, with loads of additives in and things like that. So I just, you know, we're just trying to do, like everyone's doing their bit, and hopefully we're all linking in, and it's all for, you know, this COVID, it's highlighted loads of things here in Liverpool and across, you know, across the UK, of the indifference. You know, why should people be using food banks in the food place? We should have a better wage. So these food banks shouldn't even be in there, but they were there supposed to be a fallback for people who were facing poverty and things like that. But it's not right, because they shouldn't have been there, and more of being getting made. So it's about what we can do to like fight it, you know, and say, actually, you know, this COVID's brought us a lot. You know, we've got a really good NHS. It's been underfunded for years, and it's about us saying, hang on, you know, this is really important to us, you know, and it's important for anyone going through that door that you don't have to have insurance. You don't have to be, if you need medical assistance, you get it, no matter what you know, whether you're in the country, you know, you've got papers to be here, or, you know, you're a resident, you should be entitled to medical aid. So, you know, there's still a lot that's going on that's not right here in the UK. But in Liverpool, a lot of the people who are on the ground are already mobilised and have already been doing quite a lot to address some of the issues that have been highlighted by, you know, the rest of the groups, homelessness, you know, people, refugees, asylum seekers, these groups doing work. Some of them are getting backed by the city council, some aren't. But Liverpool's quite unique, because the people who are in power here also understand, you know, they do support quite a lot of projects to address some of these issues as well. Not as much, because their money's getting cut from central government, so they're having to reduce, and people are reliant on the goodwill of people helping one another. That, you know, that's something that's just brought up in you. You know, if you can do anyone a favour, if you can help anybody, that's just in you, that you should be doing. So I think, you know, when I look at some things, I think Liverpool itself, we're not doing too bad in trying to address and trying to help each other, help neighbours and different communities. You know, we're looking at doing bread for different other organisations, and it's not going to cost them anything, because we've got a bit of grant. There's a lot of grant available in the UK for projects as well, and it's like, we don't want to take loads of grants, because we have to jump through hoops to prove what you've done with that grant money as well. So it's like, we'll take what we need so we can do what we need to do for all these projects that we're already working with. So that's what we're doing. You know, we're financing some of this on our, you know, out of our own pocket as well, out of the profits, because any of the profits that we make, as I say, goes back into the business. And we're 90% trade. The business is 90% of what we trade as income, and we get 10% grant. And that's from the Liverpool City Council. That's someone we employ. They pay their wages for 6 months, with the thing that we'll employ them after that 6 months. So I feel quite proud, really, of what Liverpool communities are doing to address this COVID-19. You know, loads of manufacturing, loads of people are making masks for different groups. You know, the NHS, fire brigade. It's more the carers now, the carers out in the community that really are underfunded. People who are going to people, you know, are doing care for people who are isolated, who live at home. They're the ones that are really getting underfunded at the minute in the UK, as well as other, you know, other projects, homelessness and that. But as frontline workers, they're the ones that people are starting to realise that they need supporting. So That's it, really.
And are you, I can also ask, that we had a conversation with Afrikaner Work a little bit before this event started, about being thought of already as an NGO or some kind of like already working, as a kind of nonprofit when it's not that, and so but being treated like that, and sort of the difference of how you operate versus and like how you operate versus how you're thought of, like that you're sort of expected just to provide. I don't know if you wanted to speak on that, like in terms of what Angela was saying also.
I start about our experience. The NGO Emergency is a leftist NGO. They used to act in a war country, and they build hospital. They're just medical. We feel that their supervision and their formation was necessary because they face apart this war situation like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and so they face the Ebola epidemic in Sierra Leone. So we say, okay, we need to act, but it's not fire, it's not mud, it's not water, it's not something that we can face autonomous way. It's a virus. Mm-hmm. We don't know nothing about it. Mm-hmm. So for act, we have to, first of all, we have to need to be sure. I mean, to make that people that work with us doesn't contract the virus, and more important, doesn't spread the virus when we help people. Mm-hmm. So we go to the NGO and we ask to them medical supervision, and they start to make a lot of formation, live formation and Zoom formation with hundreds of people, and they say we want to make sure that who act inside of the brigade is not a spreading virus among the city. Mm-hmm. For us was necessary, but there was, and they are super collaborative because they say we never act in Italy, we never act in social issues. So in this for example, popular neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, they say we let to the brigades the sensibility to act. And we every day we make a brainstorming, and they are very receptive. They accept our critics. They accept that we are autonomous, that we are not from an NGO, and they don't want to absorb ourselves. Mm-hmm. They want to I mean, it's a very collaborative relationship. We also together we speak with the major. I mean, basically, they are the people and speaking with a municipal council because we don't speak with, but they make a good mediation between our autonomous needs and their institutional mission. Mm-hmm. So it's positive, in my opinion, but not every place can find a NGO such this one. Mm-hmm. Other country, other town also in Italy had some problem to find some organization that is made by comrades, and that is very, very clear, the position.
I'll open it to anyone else. I also want to say now that anyone who wants to ask a question in the comments, please go ahead. And then also for the other attendees, panelists, if you have questions for each other, yeah, please go ahead as well. But I don't know if anyone wants to answer my previous question first. If not, I have another one, which is, I guess I wanted to maybe continue with Valerio to ask you a little bit about, because you're from Milan, it's become part of this expanding network in Italy, and then now there are many brigades within this network around the world. I'm curious if you already have ideas of how that network operates, kind of between countries, or how it operates as kind of a more of a, whether it's a massive thing or just whether it's like Poles helping each other and being autonomous, if there are kind of either long-term or, you know, sort of greater structural ideas that you're working towards, thinking of.
Yeah, in this day we are discussing about these two phases too, and we think that we're gonna move from generic support to COVID people to people touched by COVID, from from sanitary crisis to medical crisis, to we're gonna switch to social crisis, because here the situation in Italy is very hard. A lot of people lose their works. A lot of people have no income from 2 months, and they will not have for many months more. So we think that for the next 6 months, this activity of the brigade will be the main political activity. We are discussing now about which form we want to give to our structure. Also because there are many things common between.
It's not happening in Holland, stuff like that.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. No, I was talking to somebody else. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Yeah, you could turn your mic off if you're.
Yeah, and we are discussing about which type of structure we need. Some of us propose to have our own legal organization to cover our action. Some other things that we have to keep to 2 levels. 1 level more institutional than like ONG, some NGO, something like this. And at the same time, we have to build our political links. For example, there's a lot of strike right now in Italy. The first people that want to strike, but they can't strike, is the medical person. I mean, the people that work inside of the hospital, not only the doctor, but also the nurse, first help, and so. And everybody have a money problem here. So we think that the next month will be very hard for political conflicts, and in the same time for social crisis, because the number of people that is not able to feed their family, to have house or foods, will be raised. Mm-hmm. Maybe the number, I hope that people touched by the virus will decrease, but we know that we're going to face an economical crisis that we never faced before. So we are starting to prepare ourselves to face, to have a structure that can stay active for at least 1 year. 6 months, 1 year is the period that we try to imagine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you want to prepare yourself for that period? I mean, how are your thoughts to go into?
We are starting to build food. Storage. Yeah, thank you. We build these places. Some of them are inside of squat. Some other is given by some association or some people that give to us. And now we're gonna pretend to fix and legalize these places as a permanent storage place. We are starting discussing to the idea of to collect more people, then give the availability for 6 months, not just for 1 month or less, but for 6 months. At the moment, there's 100 of people that want to do that for a long time, and we really don't know what will happen, because here the political discussion, also officially, also institutional, the message that the president they give is very unclear. They say one things one day, another things the day after. Now they say they want to reopen, and the day after they say, yeah, we reopen, but probably will be another peak of COVID, so maybe we not open. So it's a little bit early to define what we do in the next month. But what we want to say is that nervous war, so we have to keep our mind clear. We have to be lucid, because maybe things can change very fast. Maybe during health crisis, COVID crisis, we're gonna face more emergency. For example, weather questions or other emergency that can be added to the present situation. We have to face all of this, and food distribution must be something that we start to do as political action and praxis for a long time.
And are you also looking for collaboration abroad?
Sorry?
Are you also looking for collaboration abroad, like in other countries, like the?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, when we start with this call, we say it's time to build our own brigades. It's an article that some American comrades wrote about Brigades of Milan, and is a sort of call, Then it was spread in many languages, and we feel that this situation is similar. We have a lot of difference, but there are something similar around all the countries. I passed here a website. These are a network, international network, and I hope that all of you gonna join it. Just go on the site, and there are the way to build your own brigade, or just to put what are you doing inside of this site. It's just to have a complex overview.
And it's already it's several other European countries, right? It's I think in Belgium, in France, right, and then also in Germany also, and then in several other countries. Something. There's one in Quito. There's one building in the U.S., and it seems like it's just it's like metastasizing, expanding by the day, right?
Yeah, and I think that is something. I think that is sort of like very important. That although we do not know, how exactly this thing will evolve, what we do know is that there are multiple waves coming after that. People without work, people even becoming more housing insecure, food insecure, health problems, education distance, because although apparently we all can get it, it's actually highlighting on top of that the inequalities that are there, and makes it more stronger. So I think it's absolutely super important to create very strong networks of all the efforts that are done now in different locales, and to join forces in order to also in the time after this be able to help each other out, but also give each other advice or to learn from each other's best practices. Because as Ange said, that Homebake has taken 7 years to bring where it now is, a very solidary worker co-op that is like also rooted in a network in the neighborhood that support and make sure that there is a continuous, not only work created, but also affordable food. I think this is something that we all not only are in need of all these best practices, or even in Utrecht, Grace and everybody, what you've been doing, you also said we've been doing this already for a very long time. We only intensified it for now, and I think this is also for the Afrikanenwijk cooperative, I think super important that for all these years we've been working on actually radicalizing the local by making sure we can create local jobs, we can vow for like our local shopkeepers, that we can create like possible work and opportunities for people in our area. And I think we need to even be more stronger tomorrow than we are today. We need to not only join forces, but also like keep building this out, because we need those strong networks as safety nets. Because I think what we say here into one of your earlier questions is like, it's quite funny that we sometimes, because we are an autonomous run organization, that we get these phone calls now, like, can you pick up this or can you pick up that? Like if we already were sort of like a governmental supported organization. And I think like for us, it's very important to say like, yes, absolutely, we need to collaborate with all parties involved, but it's also important that we have to make sure that the work we are doing now is actually netted very strong in networks around the world, because I think we will need it.
You know, part of our business plans is that we buy local, we buy off local suppliers. You know, any money that comes in, it gets spent in like a 3-mile radius. So all our suppliers are near enough on our doorstep. So we had this, we've still been making pies, not as many as what we've had, but we've still been getting our meat off our butcher, our veg. So we're still, you know, we're trying to operate a business and not, you know, we're not wanting to flood the market with the pies and make loads of money. But what we're trying to do is, you know, we're making enough to just get by, but as well as to keep our you know, the contracts we've got with the butcher, and that is still keeping them going, so that they've still got money going into their business, so they can pay their staff, that they can pay their rent. So, you know, people go, oh, you know, we've been trying to get your pies, we're only putting a small amount up each week, and they're saying, you know, you can't get your pies, but we don't want to be putting 2,000 pies on the internet, because then we couldn't deliver them anyway. But then it'd mean that the staff that were there would be working harder, and it's all them things as well as a business that we've had to think about and go, well, actually, it'd be crass, and it would be morally wrong to be making everybody come in to make more pies, because we can make more pies and make more money. So you know, at this time, because you know, all the takeaway venues in the UK, you know, have shut down, McDonald's has shut down, you know, these a few local businesses who are doing takeout, and people say, you know, we'd buy off yous, but we didn't do that before. You know, we're a community bakery. We're open of a morning for bread and for people to come into the cafe, and we supply wholesale with the pies. So it's been dead hard for us to, you know, to react to people as well, what other people are telling us we should be doing, because we keep thinking, hang on, now we're keeping it as real as we can to just keep us going. You know, we'll just keep our heads above water at this time, without, you know, no offense, cashing in at this time, at the cost of the staff, because the staff is our commodity as well. So, you know, we've got to make sure that our staff feel valued, that they're in good mental health, that they're not getting overwhelmed, that having to come into work at this time as well, for us to do what we class as our community bit of making the bread and helping, you know, different organisations in the area. So it's been quite daunting. It has, because loads of people want to volunteer, and people can volunteer, and then if they don't want to come in that day, but with the staff that's coming in, they've got to come in, and that's the difference. And it's been quite scary for them to come in. And as a manager, I've got to look and go, am I putting staff at risk? Are we doing this in a safe distance? Have we got the right PPE for them? So it has been, you know, we need a business afterwards for people to have jobs, and that's the main thing that's keeping us just, you know, taking day by day. Each week we change what we're doing to try and, you know, just keep going, so that we've got a business at the end of it, because we don't own the building, we're paying rent. You know, we've been given rent free for 3 months, but we haven't got a lot of money behind us as a business. So it is scary, you know, because we have got the responsibility, and we've got the responsibility to the community as well.
Yeah, can I add something about yeah, because of course I think I also overread something in the comments about, of course, different experience, because like Angela was saying, There's, you know, managing people that rely on your community work, and of course you know you gotta find the money to pay the staff that has a contract, or and of course for us that we do this completely, you know, as volunteers, it can create kind of a another controversial point, as in many things here in the Netherlands are run by volunteers. The volunteer work, it's, you know, it's massive. There's, I would say, part of what, you know, some jobs are, you know, they can go on, some venues or organization go on because of volunteer work. And I understand it could be like, yeah, it's easy, you know, to expect that people have their own job aside and find time for volunteer work to run things. And this can be good and bad, but my take lately is that I don't even know if I would call it volunteer work, because it's just you just do what feels good for you, you know, what you want to do, and then can call it volunteer and can say that volunteer work is exploited right now more than ever probably, but it's yeah, I wouldn't see any other way. Of course, ideally, I don't know if volunteer work should be retributed or not. I just think people should take more responsibility about their own communities, and therefore, yeah, an international network just makes you stronger. But to claim back your network in cities like Utrecht, where the, you know, the our network was pretty big and pretty strong, and then it went down. Right now you are reconnecting to that network, we know, with old friends and old faces, but also new collectives and new groups.
Mhm. Can you talk more about that, like this going down thing, and yeah, what that?
Well, that was, yeah, it's a very practical, you know, it's dates and numbers, you know, like years ago with the squatting ban, of course, there was all these social centers that have been, and squats that have been shut down. It reduced the space for us to meet and just do our things and our practices. They went less and less and less and less. And of course, this, if you don't have the space, structurally the space to meet together and to do things, then your practice, it's gonna, you know, be exponentially reduced or limited. So yeah, the only a bit, you know, selfish take on this, it's for me like, we can say for ourselves that we still exist and we still do, but it's also the political struggle is there. It's like, well, we need the spaces. We need to be able to have spaces where we can practice this out of our own choice. If we want to do it as volunteers, we need to do that, but we need to have the possibility to do that. So, well, we are pretty lucky now with Aku, and of course, yeah, because BAC offered the kitchen as a space with BAC. But for me, Aku is like, yeah, because we have Aku, we can still do that. But imagine 10 years ago, this happening, we would have had.
Aku is a legalized space in Utrecht, a legalized squat.
Yeah.
People who don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, if this COVID-19 would have happened, I don't know, 10 years ago, then we would have been, you know, like probably 20 kitchens now, and not only for food, but to provide other kind of services, you know, like
building teams.
Building teams and anything. So, yeah, that's something important right now for me. It's like, okay, yeah, we need to have the possibility to have these spaces. You know, what has been suppressed in these last 10 years, especially these last 10 years, it's still alive and it's really necessary. It's essential. It's not, we are not struggling for luxurious services here. It's like, you know, just, yeah.
This was well, this was a question that Valerio started touching on, but are any of you working in kinds of international configurations, or even just other cities or other towns, or thinking in terms of networks, or beginning to?
Actually, no. No, I try to keep in contact with international networks, but seeing the last couple of weeks, the amount of time that it takes to organize what we do here right now, I hardly know what's going around in Utrecht.
Yeah, it's quite intense, especially for the, let's say, the core team that coordinates the space physically, no, and does communication. And because it's word of mouth, you are constantly talking to people or ringing bells, not physically ringing doorbells, but like there's not we didn't think
No,
of
we
creating.
didn't have, we had a structure, but not organized, So to get people helping out, yeah, you first need to call them, and then
Yeah.
you need to agree on now how do you do it, all the practical thingies, and this costs a lot of time, and
Yeah. But definitely, I guess, as long as we have this structure of the 7 days a week, we will just do what we do. And then, of course, feeding the network outside of the city or outside of this country, it's a must. It's just now there's not much time to do that. That's why also to be here, talk also with Valerio and the other guys, it's good, but yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah, it's inspiring, but there's 24 hours in a day,
And you need to sleep also.
Sometimes we
Yeah.
sleep. Yeah.
And yeah, I guess so. I want to also ask Afrikaner Work or Home Baked the same question, because you're both hyper local for the most part. But are there? Do you also think in terms of these like alliances, outside as well, or are you now?
Not now. We've been asked a number of times, would we be able to take what we do and set up in different areas? But because we're a volunteer board, it's having the resources to be able to do that, having the time as well to be able to mentor, give people that support as well, and to find something that is working different individual communities that would be addressing the local need. What is them communities needing, and how can some of the experience that Home Bake have found, what we've overcome, how do you go around, we're maybe being a bit lucky because it was our project and it started with that, so there was grant available, and then people that got involved have got really good knowledge, and the thing is with them, they're very willing to share that knowledge as well. People have been really able to give to other community groups, and so that they can learn from our mistakes, and even filling in grant forms, trying to get finances, as being able to point people in the right direction. And it's inspired other people to take the chance as well. I know, I've just said, I'm proud of what we're doing here in Liverpool, but we know no more than in Milan, the repercussions of this is, we know people are gonna, we know we live in an area where food poverty is happening. We know fuel poverty. A lot of the people who are having to go to these food banks need internet access. So we know that should be a right of people to have decent, good internet, for children homeschooling at this time, all what everybody spoke about, that's in our radar, that we know we're already dealing. These are all issues that have already been raised by living in an area that is deemed deprived. So, there's a lot of grassroots community groups, just people doing addressing some of them issues already, you know, and with the council, but, you know, there's a lot of goodwill going around that people are saying, hang on, you know, regards to employment, there is going to be a lot of businesses that won't survive this. How are we're going to have to look as a collective of people, how we can support each other. So going forward, you know, we'd love to be able to give that experience, but we're still a business trying to survive and keep people employed. So, you know, and we've got aspirations and visions going forward of what we'd like the bakery to be able to do, to be sustainable and to, you know, really feel grounded in the community and what we can offer as well. So to give time and energy and all what we could package, it'd be great. But we haven't got the finances, we haven't got the resources yet. But all we can do is offer people that come and ask for any advice or guidance. We can tell them what our story's been. They can learn from, as I say, our achievements and our mistakes as well.
So thinking more in terms of model, like making models rather than trying to expand or.
And we've done that with, you know, we've supported a local laundress, a lady open laundress, Kitty's Laundress. That's a social enterprise business. These you know, the Community Land Trust is supporting a microbrewery. So, you know, we're giving people, as you say, Grace, the space that people need to be able to talk, to be able to say, you know, just have ideas and have other people, you know, a safe space sometimes, just a safe space. And you know, we've provided in the community a safe space for people to just come and have a coffee, people to be able to just come and chat to someone, you know, just with nothing in it other than just coming and having a nice coffee. We buy our coffee off another social enterprise. So trying to do all the good work, but trying to, you know, keep the costs down as well, because we're in an area that we have a ceiling of what we can charge for the prices of our bread. We're not an artisan bakery, so we can't charge, you know, we're not in an area that can afford artisan bread. We make we make really good bread, but there's a price that we can put on it. It's still handmade, it's not made mass produced, but it's about what the community wants as well. So that's where we are. Sorry, keeps tilting.
I think, like, to your question, I think here we have what we call a knowledge bank or a kennisbank, in which we sort of like bank all the experiences, all the things that we did well and all the mistakes that we make. And different organizations also from different parts of the world sometimes come and spend the day with us to talk about all these things, like how we grew as an organization, what were our challenges, how we actually work with, alongside and against the local government in various ways, various like sort of like relationships. But if we think about the immediate future, I think we are already bracing ourselves for some of the work that is coming on a regular basis. On Wednesdays, we already have somebody here that people can come to talk about depth. So we have like a depth program, depth counseling program and advice program, and we will already imagining that will like sort of like will be more urgencies for that. Like I said, we worked with a lot of local shopkeepers around how to look at the measurements the government is providing, and then also figuring out that in order to get some support at the moment, you have to become hyper visible, because you have to fill in lots and lots and lots of forms in order to get something. And it's not always so self-evident that you can fill out all these forms. And that doesn't even mean that you will be a person that doesn't have like papers to stay in the Netherlands, but it might be that your bank account number and your social security number and your business registration are not all aligned or something like that. And then you're already not in the system. So working alongside that, helping people to find ways to survive, and I think we need to do that more. And as Angie also just said, like providing a community car at the moment so that people can do some of their shoppings or bring people somewhere. These kind of things we already have here, but we'll also understand that there will be much more work coming up over the next months, dealing with all of that, with food insecurity, with learning gaps among our young people, and so on and so on and so on.
And housing crisis.
And a housing crisis, and with that a debt crisis, and
Yeah, I imagine housing is a thing that touches all of you as groups. I mean, it's all of us, but especially thinking of, yeah, like this, thinking a step back from how you're working now. There's this kind of haunting specter of the housing situation, right? And
and unemployment and direct food insecurity.
Plus, we've also, you know, domestic violence, people being stuck in the houses together, you know, children, you know, being with parents that maybe they're not getting a break from, they're not getting, you know, emotional support, you know, all them are all things that we'll be looking to help support. You know, if we don't open as a cafe, you know, we're already linked in with someone who does desk advice. You know, we've brought them in the past to help staff and volunteers. So, you know, it might be that we're just going to look at where we can help, you know, fit in. We know that we work with Liverpool Homeless Football Club, which is work with guys and girls that, you know, are in accommodation, hostel accommodation. You know, what will, you know, if they've been stuck in, how are they, you know, gonna re-enter, you know, just feeling secure coming back out and engaging in education and training and that. So we'll be hopefully working with them. We're working with, you know, other organisations down in the south of the city. With a lot of them have been buying the pies for the food bank to make sure that, you know, when the food, all the food that's going out, you know, the pies are really good quality pies that, you know, people are getting a food that they can make a family meal with, to help with the food shortage and things like that. So these loads, but you know, we've been lucky in the UK because we've just had really good sunshine. But you know, there's going to be, we know there's fuel poverty. You know, people are going to be in the houses. The electric bills are going to go up because everyone's using the internet. You know, people are on, you know, are in the houses more. So the cost of everything's going up as well. And they, you know, people always go to me, you know, or in the past have said,